Greetings everyone, here we are with another delightful video. This time I'm going to go over the Shadowrun Sixth World or 6th edition beginner box. I have previously covered the beginner box for Shadowrun 5th edition. For a bit of context, go back to that one, check that one out. It's interesting enough as it is. It is important to note a pro tip of telling the different editions of Shadowrun from each other is that the color of the symbol changes from edition to edition. The previous edition had red, there was like a green one, a yellow, and I think a white version of this symbol for the various editions. So that's your little pro tip there if you're ever looking for Shadowrun products. And you're not certain what edition it is, look at the color of the little symbol. That looks roughly like a toucan. Okay. First and foremost, this box comes with an instant guide to the 6th World, a 4-page flash premiere on Shadowrun World, a quick start fast rules that will help you in action quickly, adventure. The battle royale slings you into a mean streets of Seattle. Better hold on. 4 character dossiers with all the little details, 55 gear cards, a poster map, and dice. Now, you'll watch this video and then go watch the 5th edition beginner box after this one. By the way, go ahead and check out my channel page and then go to the community section. There are tons of polls there. Feel free to click on any of those and fill out whichever result you think would be the best one. But this is the little premiere right here. This gives you the little shows off the core rulebook. By the way, the beginner box was released before the original core rulebook. There's actually 3 different versions of the core rulebook. There's the original version, the 1.0 version of Shadowrun 6th edition. There is the 1.1 and the 1.2 version, which is I've already shown a video of the first updated version of the core rulebook, and I think I will be showing off soon the 3rd updated version. There is a common problem with Shadowrun where there is a lot of times a lot of issues with how they put the books together, and it results in it becoming exceedingly difficult to find information that you want to know and to fluidly learn how to play the system, as Shadowrun is an interesting hybrid of a near future Dungeons and Dragons like world, but it does not run on the D20 system. So we have this handy dandy little introduction sheet here, and then we have the quick start primer, which basically gives you the basics of the world and setting and the history of the world, as well as a quick showing of the corporations. You have the quick start rules, which is a nice little saddlebound owned book that is only about, it's not properly numbered. It's actually 24 pages large, and it has 4 pre-made characters in the back of the book. That's actually a very beautiful piece of artwork on the cover. Shadowrun is one of these franchises that has exceedingly beautiful artwork throughout the books. However, it varies from edition to edition. They have slight style changes. So you can tell 2nd edition art from 1st edition art, from 3rd edition, from 4th, 5th, and 6th. So there you go. There's also a bit of inconsistency in the art style between the different artists, but generally it's pretty good. This beginner box is actually probably one of the better ways to learn Shadowrun 6th World, as this book is actually one of those rare moments in the Shadowrun books where it is entirely all mechanics of how to do various things in the system, how to keep track of your wounds, your combat, and so forth. For this edition, they have a lot of card sets for Shadowrun Sixth World, and those are handy, very handy for as player aids for keeping track of your weapons and various features, and also for the game master for when they want to provide obstacles for the players. So overall, as you can see, this is a fairly nice book. This is a darker text over white. I've seen very bad examples of light gray text over white, which is a terrible choice. Black over white is a black background with white text is superior overall. However, also purple is a pretty good choice, or red is a pretty good choice for color. Dark bolden letters for the heads of each cell section. And nice clean little tables or charts for various things showing you information. Yet again, they also show you a card from the card sets. At some point, I'll actually start showing off those cards. There is a nice little Game Master reference tables back here for the Game Master for quick referencing, how to run the system. I think I've also done the Game Master screen for Shadowrun Sixth World already. So if you go hunting around on my channel, you'll come across that soon. On to the next thing. You then have the character dossiers. Every character dossier has a quick key on the back for all your core mechanics of the system. So that is really nice to have there, as well as combat steps by step. You have nice artwork of the character on the front. You have a nice range of characters between a troll, an orc, a elf, and a dwarf in here. And let's start with Rude, the Street Samurai. Please note that all these characters, those are not their actual name. You know, it is important to note in the world of Shadowrun that your character has 2 names at minimum. 2 names at minimum. Keep that in mind. You have your street name and you have your real name. You may have more names. You might have a corporate name that you go by when you're working in the corporate world, or various other groups or cultures. You might have different names in different groups and cultures, but generally you have a street name, which is your name that you use when you're as a Shadowrunner doing your missions. So people are yelling, hey, a Slaughter or Bruticus or something like that out in combat to direct you or get your attention, as opposed to your actual name. That way the corpos, the corporations, and the police, and all the people you do not want to know where you actually come from don't figure out how to get to you when you're off the clock, okay? So first and foremost, that's a really nice little detail. They include a little quote there for a little bit of something right there for each character. Right here is the standard character sheet right here. They explain how you do your condition tracking. They mark out each section with numbers. These black boxes are actually numbers denoting each one of these sections on the side, explaining how each part of the character sheet operates. You have role-play mechanics explained, as well as your character's background, preferred tactics in combat, how your character naturally would like to fight in combat, example run, and so forth. And so forth. And each one of these characters has that level of quality and detail. Now, if you have noticed, there is a difference between this beginner box versus the previous beginner box. That previous beginner box had a strong emphasis on culture and lore of Shadowrun World. There was a lot of the material that was specifically oriented towards getting you into the culture and the history of the world, versus this one, where it is more pure to the mechanics of the system, which is actually rather nice. This is not the case for the core rule books for Shadowrun Sixth World. Those books are steeping with lore. So if you want to get the basics on how to play Shadowrun and don't want to be paging through a lot of pages to find all that stuff, we're constantly trying to look up the index in the back to find the important rules, this is a great starting point for you. This book right here is the adventure itself. It is very simple and clean, and it's quick. There is only about, say, 20-ish pages, 24 pages specifically for the adventure. And the last few pages are basically just little tables and stat blocks for various characters. It's a saddle-bound book. This is actually a high-quality, thick construction paper cover. So it actually will hold up quite well over time. We have this nice map of Seattle. That is actually quite nice. You have this big old blown up map that shows the larger area of the peninsula in which the area in which Seattle is around. And then you have a bigger regional map that subdivides everything out into its various boroughs or districts. And then you have various other maps right here that zoom out even more. As well as a handy dandy key for this main map right here you might be using during game. This easily folds up and you pretty much have everything inside that section right there. So there you go. On the back side has the maps for your main location in which your players will be heading to and interacting with. You happen to have a series of D6 dice in here. These are all artistically stylized. However, those are not symbols. Those are numbers, with the exception of this one right here, which is just a set of horns right there. I believe that is a 1, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's 1. So everything but the 1 is a symbol. However, I don't believe that actually matters much in the game system. You happen to have a series of cards that come out nice and handy that have various weapons stats on them, as well as various other things that your players will need to use in their adventure. So, or in your homebrew adventures after this adventure. So that's pretty neat. Overall, I do say that this this beginner box is actually quite nice. The box is not treated, so if you use it as a dice tray in a pinch, you still run the risk of someone getting some moisture on it and damaging the box. My puppy, just moved her butt from one end of the bed and over to the other end and then laid down on the blanket. But anyways, these tool cards are really handy dandy to have for your games. I've used cards like this for like Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder and a few other things, or Call of Cthulhu. And always having some nice cards around are nice. Pro tip for the Game Master: if you are going to use these cards, remove the cards you want to use in your adventure, or will be using could actually happen in your adventure, and set them to the side. That way you can more quickly pull them out and hand them to the player on a moment's notice. And don't leave them inside the sleeve while you're running the adventure, then have to go dig them out to hand to the player then. That will take longer. Generally, as a good game master, you want to plan ahead a little bit and have the stuff that you know for sure will be coming in, will be important to your players, or their players will definitely get this item. And you have that item already ready. You need to hand them when they get to it. In the case of you actually randomly deciding to give them another item or something else that you didn't pull out before, that is perfectly fine. The goal is to generally just keep down on the slowdown as much as possible. Overall, I do feel that this box is a large improvement over the original Shadowrun 5th edition beginner box set. I feel that this should be around a 3.75 star to 4 star product. The only thing I would have really loved is a basic Game Master screen for the box set. That way the Game Master could put up the screen and have all the core rules right there on the screen. And they could just look at all the basic mechanics they need to run the game as they go along. And if they run into situations on the fringe, there should be like a key or something on there that easily gets them to where they want in the core rulebook or the beginner box. And that would have been really nice to have in here. Really good game systems typically will have a Game Master screen that has that feature, or include a small thin one in the beginner box or starter set. And I just mean a simple one. You don't have to have the proper cardboard stock one. Just card stock will be fine. Maybe a 3-panel or 4-panel will be good. But overall, it's quite nice. I do say this is definitely an improvement. If you are truly interested in playing Shadowrun Sixth World, this is the starting point you want to go to. There are half a dozen YouTube channels here on YouTube as well. There's 2D10s, which is another YouTube channel. You can find that. That channel has, I do believe, some stuff there. There is another YouTube channel called Hyper that has a bunch of Shadowrun videos on it. There's a few other YouTube channels. I think 2D10s has a lot of cyberpunk as well. I might have brain farted that one. There are several other YouTube channels that are predominantly a blend of Shadowrun 5th edition and 6th edition. One of the biggest problems you'll ever find in the Shadowrun community is that you'll have a lot of 3.5 stands. This is a common problem with a lot of TTRPGs of like the second or third tier, typically the third tier TTRPGs, long-running TTRPG franchises, where a lot of people who will start with like Shadowrun 4th edition, or they have started with Vampire the Masquerade 20th edition and 20th anniversary edition, and that is the only edition that they care about. And the editions before it and after it are pure garbage to them. That is a very sad state in TTRPGs. I think it's largely just the fact that is always the edition that they started with. And it is the one they learn how to play when they're young. So when they get older, they see a new edition and the rules are a little bit different. It bothers them. They see older editions and they see the errors in the older editions, and those bother them too. So my general advice is always give something a try. There's a lot of YouTube channels. If you go to my YouTube channel and you go scrolling down the main the home page on my YouTube channel, you go all the way to the bottom. There's literally a section where there's other TTRPG channels bar. You can click on that. You'll see at first originally just like 20 of them right there, and then you'll see below that like hundreds of TTRPG YouTube channels. I think I have like over 300 channels I'm subscribed to on this channel. So they cover all the TTRPGs. Those are all the TTRPG YouTube channels on YouTube that I have found so far. So go there, scroll through that. You'll find a whole bunch of them there. You'll find Call of Cthulhu channels. You'll find Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay channels. You'll find everything else. You'll find Shadowrun Sixth World channels. There's I think there's even one that's called Shadowrun Sixth World, or Sixth World, but he kind of reverted back to 5th edition Shadowrun simply because that was the edition he started with, and that's because he likes that one the most. And you know, and then his channel died shortly after that because he's kind of reverted back to an older edition. That's, as I said before, that's a common problem. You get people who get so stuck to an edition, and I refer to it as a 3.5 stand because I know several of them. 3.5 stand is reference to Dungeons & Dragons 3.5, where you have this portion of of TTRPG players or Dungeons & Dragons fans who think that edition is literally the most perfect version of Dungeons & Dragons that have ever existed. And by the way, I do love Dungeons & Dragons 3.5. It has a ridiculous range of player options and monster options for both players and dungeon masters, but the system is so bulky that if you really wanted to make the most of it or optimize the max, you had to go across 50 books to pile together a character. And if you happen to have a situation where you have a new player who hasn't played before and they just have the player's handbook and you have your 100 books you can go through, your character is going to be so vastly more powerful than theirs that it's going to cause a power rift in design between the two characters, and that results in the dungeon master having to either design adventures for the weaker character or the stronger character, or in the middle. If they go with the weaker character, your character is killing everything instantly with very little effort. If they go with your character, the weaker character is basically dying every encounter. If they go somewhere in the middle, that's probably the best option. However, it is hard to balance encounters or adventures for the middle. So you end up with a whole bunch of problems with that. But I have the reason why I bring this up in this video is because that is a exceedingly prevalent problem with the Shadowrun community. That a lot of the Shadowrun community and the YouTube channels are really just 3rd edition is superior, 4th edition is superior, 5th edition is superior. No, wait, it's 2nd edition is superior. You're all stupid for thinking the other editions are actually any good. So, and that is a very sad state, because that ultimately poisons and kills off a TTRPG franchise, and it never gets anywhere. At one point in time, Shadowrun back in the late 90s, early 2000s was actually a very strong TTRPG franchise. It's actually one of the most popular searched TTRPG franchises on the internet. Even now, the problem with that is that all the fans are broken up across all the editions. And then you have like the novels and stuff like that. And you got a lot of people who are just focused on the novels and stories. So there's all that. In 5th edition and prior, there was a heavy emphasis on the lore and selling the novels to you as a side product. With the 6th World edition, they still have the novels, but as you can see, they didn't include a novel with this one. They have a novel included in the 5th edition one, so you get slightly less in this box, but it is all focused around. But everything has been focused around teaching you how to play the game, as opposed to the 5th edition box, which it felt like it was mostly about teaching you the lore of the world, and there just happened to have been rules slipped into that box in between all the lore and the stories. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video. I think, as I said before, this kind of floats in that 3.754 star territory. It definitely would improve to 4.25 stars if it had a basic Game Master screen. So it's that. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, leave a comment. Check out the polls on my channels. The current set of polls, there's usually 2 polls at the same time, the starter sets and the boxes. And the books is the other one. And the other miscellaneous stuff goes with the books. So I usually alternate those polls. But go ahead and vote on any of the polls, even the really old ones. I occasionally go through all of them again and check what I got. And if I happen to see a strong pattern for people watching a lot of Shadowrun Sixth World videos, and a lot of people voting on it or leaving comments stating they want more of it, I will do more of it. Okay, I will go out and specifically buy a whole bunch. I literally have like a box of the cards over here. Oh, another book. But I also have the box of cards where it has Mobile Grimoire, John's Decks, Rides, Rogues Lineup, Program Deck, Cyber Deck. I also have the Tarot Deck right here. I think I've actually done that, or I did not do that. I have to double check. Rogues Gallery, another one. Dice and Edge Tokens deck box. I have a Shadow Points Inks container, which actually has, it's actually between in the cardboard. You can see it on the back. Gun Rack deck. And High Rollers, which is another set of dice. So there you go. And there's actually another deck that's actually coming out soon for Shadowrun that I have to pick up at some point, or has come out. So, as I said before, thank you very much for watching this video. Have a delightful day, a nice night, a wonderful weekend, a magnificent month, and see you next time. Ciao.